We also need to be looking at financial administration and management of the church, especially within the diocese area. We need to look at, we need to also talk about the church, the general church. What are the contributions that we want to give as a diocese? How are we even managing our own resources? What is the way forward? We have a situation whereby a pastor could be richer than the church, especially when the church doesn't have a mainstream of flow of income. The church doesn't have a channel, a way to make income. Rather, everything is like, there's always a difference between the pastor and the church. Everybody should understand that part. The pastor is an entity on his own. He can sue as an individual. He could be sued as an individual. And the church is an entity on its own. The church can sue, and the church should be able to sue. So everybody is a legal entity. So the pastor shouldn't be the same as the church, and the church shouldn't be the same as the pastor. There should be boundaries. But in a situation whereby we don't have a flow of how the church, the same thing applies to shepherd. Shepherd shouldn't be the same as the church. Even if you're a landlord shepherd, your church should be an entity, and you as an individual, as a shepherd, you should be an entity. So there should not be a situation whereby the shepherd is richer than the church, because the church doesn't have a purse. The church doesn't have an account. Money coming in doesn't go to the account of the shepherd, the church. It rather go into the account of the shepherd. You understand what I mean? There's some things I wouldn't want to say, but everybody listening will understand some of the limitations and some of the things I was trying to highlight. So if there is a flow of income consistently, the church should have an account. These accounts should be properly documented, and financial management needs to be transparent. It needs to be accounted for. And that's why church can make progress. That's when church can make development. And that's when there can be peace. There can only be peace in a parish that has development, that has foresight, and things is moving on, So, but if there's no development, if you're not seeing any physical things that you can say, this is evidence that the shepherd is working, this is evidence that things is going on, there will always be side talk, there will be conflict, there will be internal issues. So we need to look at all of those things. Those are the things we should be discussing about. And we should also be focusing about regional and national development. What is the physical achievement that we can count off since you have your HOD in UK? Attending series of meetings in Makoko, in Imeko, going to so many, those are not development. Those are not physical development. Bringing all the music artists in the world to come play, celebrating harvest. Those are not development. Those are natural culture of the church. Those are the things we do in the church. So every HOD needs to have a physical development. I love the fact when you post some shepherds in some parishes and you are seeing transformation in those parish. You see that the parish is better off when the shepherd is posted. Let me give you an instance. There's this shepherd in Olusho, Samuel Oshodi, that was transferred to GRA Cathedral in Benin. You can see when it got to that parish, there have been a lot of transformation that have happened in the parish. The parish wasn't like a cathedral anyway before then, but when it got to that parish, he made sure that he initiated the renovation of the church so that the church can look more befitting in a standard. And the church members supported him. People came, they donated money, they supported him, and the church was transformed. And if you look at the interior decoration of the church, the seating, the chairs, everything, he led the transformation, and the parishioners supported him to make all these things happen. Before now, the office of the shepherd was not looking too well. He did that. He initiated that process, and they have an upstairs for the shepherd's office. And if you go to the office now, even him that is a shepherd will be so comfortable and proud to sit down in his office and host people because the office have been transformed. All of those things happen because he, being the shepherd, led the way, and the parishioners saw the focus, the mission, they saw the goal he wanted to achieve, and they buy into it. And those are the reason why physical development are there. If pastors go from one diocese to the other, the way the dioceses in US have been for the past 20 years, nothing has changed. That is the same thing that the pastor is going to see. Either at Babalo Onishola or at Olusho Balogun, it's the same. Nothing has changed. If you go to UK, the same way when Babalarinde was the HOD, that is the same way you will meet it when Baba Fatusi becomes the HOD. There's no physical development. Is it a crime if you commit your resources to say, let's even buy a conference center, or let's even buy a camp, a very big camp in UK, either like a farmhouse, all this camp center where Celestia can go every year to do convention, to pray, to do so many programs. And whenever you are doing your conference, you could have hostel built in those places, just like the way the Jews used to do their own community. You hardly see them in hotels where people are. They have their own camp. They buy very big space, like 10 acres of land, 20 acres, 30 acres, and it's easy to buy those properties. So if we are making money, we are contributing money. What are we committing that money for? What resources are we committing the money for? Do we have like one or two churches or parishes where it's being owned by the diocese, where the diocese commits their 10%, or they start paying the mortgage, they initiate the process, they open the church, and we say, yes, this is an addition to us. Maybe you have 100 parishes before you are made an HOD. Now we have 120 parishes because you've been able to buy more parishes or properties in the name of the diocese. Those things are not really happening. And if it's not happening, I wonder what we are doing as an HOD, So, and I do not think that people should be afraid of speaking out or even talking about progress and development, So international resource mobilization is something we've been doing over the years, and it's not really transparent, it's not really accountable for, and the level of development we have is not commensurate with the expectations of the people. Okay, UK diocese is donating so amount of pounds, thousands of pounds to the to E.M.F, either ICC or whatever committee. US is donating so amount. Toronto or Canada is donating so amount. Other regions. And what are the developments that we can see? We've been doing this over and over, and to me, I see that we should be developed more than that. That's my expectation, and I also agree. Other people will agree with me that a lot of us expect to see more physical transformation. Celestia is a spiritual church. We know all of that. You didn't need to pay Holy Spirit for miracles to happen, for people to have testimony. Those ones, God doesn't need our resources. But whatever resources we have, what are the physical development that we can initiate, that we can plan, that we can implement, and people can see, and we can say, yes, we are making progress. So, but those developments should not be something that the region or the national diocese cannot do themselves. So national diocese, pastor is not going to fight you, or pastor is not going to disagree with you if you want to initiate a physical development, you want to buy a building, you want to buy a camp, you want to do stuff that can be a value to the church. The church is 78 years, and we've been doing the same over years. Nothing has really changed. So when you make money, most HOD are just like tax collectors. All you do is to collect ikme from harvest, harvest kilemankwe, ikme kuri, harvest contribution, pastoral contribution, or we collect money for anointment. That's some of the tax that I see anyway, that a lot of shepherds, HODs are doing. I really do not see other things that you do aside from coordinating people that want to get anointment for the pastor. So when the pastor visits UK, for instance, the HOD will be running around to see that parishioners come, you mobilize resources, let everybody contribute money, get anointments. I think we need to move beyond that. Some of the things we want to see that should be discussed is, when our pastor is coming to the country, can we organize a national revival, open crusade, either in a stadium or in a bigger hall or in a bigger open space where the pastor can initiate revival or crusade, where people can come, minister, the pastor can pray for the people, bless the people, and everybody will feel fulfilled and go back home. Some of those things are one of the things that we should be talking about, rather than we're just seeing pictures, video where we go to the airport. That's what everybody do. Everybody is doing like a culture. When the pastor is coming, you go to the airport, you blow trumpets, you sing songs, you video the pastors, the pastor go back to the hotel, and then from there, pastor go to different harvest, and then the pastor is going back to Nigeria, and your diocese still remain the same way, and we are really not seeing any other thing that is happening.